This video is educational. I'm very sorry. I don't want to do this, but I have to do this for the class. It's educational. Click off if you don't want that. Here's my dog. Do you like him? Freedom does not die from a frontal attack. It dies because men in power no longer believe in a system based upon liberty. Herbert Hoover once said that. Herbert Hoover, the 31st President of the United States. And I'm going to talk about him for about 10 minutes or so. But before I do all that, I would like you to get to know this beautiful man by some of the quotes he made during his lifetime. And, yeah, we're gonna do that. Any second now, the music's gonna... Oh, there it is. Was a little late, but whatever. Many good things go around in the dark, besides Santa Claus. About the time we can make ends meet, somebody moves the ends. No greater nor more affectionate honor can be conferred. No greater nor more affectionate honor can be conferred on an American than to have a public school named after him. Blessed are the young, for they shall inherit the national debt. That one's great. In America today, we are nearer to the... In America today, we are nearer a final triumph over oh my god. In America today, we are nearer a final triumph over poverty than any other land. No. Once upon a time, my political opponents honored me as possessing the fabulous intellectual and economic power by which I created a worldwide depression all by myself. That's in reference to the Great Depression, by the way. Next to religion, baseball has had a greater impact on our American way of life than any other American institution. And whatever you say, man, I am no supporter of factory labor for children. But
I have never joined with those who clamored against proper work of children on farms outside their school hours.
Fishing is so much more than fish. It is a great occasion when we may return to its fine simplicity of our forefathers. There are only two occasions when Americans respect privacy, especially in presidents. Those are prayer and fishing. When all routines and details and the human bores get on our nerves, we just yearn to go away from here to somewhere else. To go fishing is a sound and valid and an accepted reason for an escape. It requires no explanation. On an unrelated side note, this picture is actually majestic. I mean, holy aura farming. Save some swagger for the rest of us, dog. And finally, probably one of his best quotes of all time, all men are equal before fish. I love how much this guy loved to go fishing. So, it's about that time of the video where I actually have to do the requirements to pass the requirements because I need to pass the class. But hey, I'll make it up to you by tricking you into watching
an advertisement.
Outside of this class, outside of the walls of this school, I have a YouTube channel. I post there when I remember to do that. So, it's on screen. Do it. Not gonna lie, this video is kind of subpar because I'm still, like, a tad sick. But, like, the other videos are a lot better. So just trust, you know? Without further ado, I'm going to put the requirement at the top of the screen, verbally explain the requirement with some visuals, and I'm going to put some mappy gameplay on the side just so then your eyes have something to do. I was going to put up Subway Surfers gameplay, but I figured that was too boring, so here's a retro game that I like. The most important thing to note when talking about the Hoovster here is that I think that he is the most underrated president of all time, in my opinion, because, as you probably gathered already, he was the president during the Great Depression. You know, the big sad that devastated the entire world for like 20 years, and he's kind of blamed for at least... Beep? Am I schizophrenic? What? He's blamed for, if not causing the Great Depression, then at least exacerbating it by refusing to help people, because in his eyes, the best way to help the people was to not help the people. He was very, like, for somebody at the head of the government, he was very anti-government, and that's really funny. He thought that the best way to take care of this stuff was to help them help themselves, but people didn't want that. They just wanted to be helped, period. So they weren't exactly grateful. I firmly believe that Herbert Hoover would have been a great president if he was president any time than when he was president, because he was just a generally good guy. He just wasn't cut out to deal with a worldwide Great Depression. He had a very hands-off approach to governing, and really all he cared about is, like, human rights and the value of human life. So, do with that information what you will, but he was a pretty stand-up guy. And honestly, he didn't even do that bad as a president either. It was just so overshadowed by the Great Depression that nobody really cared. But he did some pretty cool things while he was president. One of the most notable of which is helping to end the Banana Republic. If you're not familiar with that already, because why the hell would you be? A bunch of banana companies basically took over Latin America for like a really long time, and Herbert Hoover helped dismantle that. Because they pretty much just bought out the government. The Banana Republic is just a bunch of banana companies that are like, we're stronger than the government, so let's pay off the government and become the new government. Which is, like, bonkers. Imagine Chiquita Banana owning a country. He was a big fan of disarmament, like taking guns away from people that shouldn't have guns, and he also ratified the 18th Amendment. The 18th Amendment is prohibition, by the way. He brought alcohol back to the country, which, I gotta say, probably one of the best things any president has ever done. He was also an advocate for civil rights, but he kind of had his own idea for civil rights. Like, the civil rights movement was like a really long time away, so he wanted other races who were impoverished to improve themselves with education and individual initiative. He appointed a bunch of black people to office, more than the previous two presidents combined, and he paid a bunch of reparations to Mexican refugees of California who were deported back to Mexico, and he gave them a bunch of money to come back if they wanted. Some of them did, some of them didn't, but, like, for 1930s standards, he was, like, really progressive, and he was also the Republican candidate, so, During the Great Depression, he built a bunch of banks, 12 different banks across America, that would give loans to, like, pretty much anyone with a pulse, so they could get back on their feet. And he also imposed new tax laws that were focused towards the ultra-wealthy. You don't see any of that anymore. Some of the top earners were taxed as high as 63%, which is like, that's bonkers. I have no idea how he could possibly pull that off, but he figured it out all the same. He refused to leave the gold standard when a lot of people urged him to, which, if you've ever talked to your, like, crackpot uncle at Thanksgiving before, you'd know. When Nixon repealed the gold standard, it was very unpopular, and people to this day say it was a bad idea. So when everyone else was saying we should do that sooner, Herbert Hoover stood his ground, and I like that. Herbert Hoover also helped establish the 8-hour workday in the steel industry, which, if you've ever known anything about the Industrial Revolution, you know that they were, like, trying to put kids in there. They were trying to get people to work, like, 12 hours a day. Herbert Hoover was like, that's not cool. Give them time to go, like, be a person as well as work at your factory. And his work didn't just stop when he left office, too. After his presidency, during a time when the Soviet Union attacked Finland, he and a group of, like, the 3 people that still liked him after he got out of office formed a little coalition to give the people of Finland who were displaced reparations of their own, money to get back on their feet. And he didn't have to do that. Most of that money came out of his own pocket, but he did it because he believed, hey, dispelling people from where they come from is bad. Don't do that. It's bad. So what I'm really trying to get at here is that while a lot of people look at him as just the Great Depression guy, he was a lot more complex than that, and I don't think anyone's doing him justice by just him being the Great Depression guy. Everyone looks to FDR, who's the guy who came after him, to say, he's the guy who mobilized us for World War II and did all the heavy lifting. And that's, not wrong. Herbert Hoover doesn't get nearly enough attention because I think, A, he's just a funny guy, and B, he did a lot of work for the country that is very counter to what you see today. He was very progressive for the time, especially for a Republican candidate, and he was just cool. So I'm glad that I could share that with you, and I think I very messily hit all of the prompts in the thing, so I won the assignment as well, so that's cool. With that being said, I think I pretty much hit everything that I need to hit for this assignment, and if I didn't, that sucks. On screen now are a few other videos that I made for classes in the past, watch them, maybe don't, do whatever you want, I'm not your dad, and, y'all, if you don't take anything from this, just keep hooving on. What am I saying?